4th and goal to go to 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
But now a little interesting here, We'll go over some of his, like what PFF has him as his stats and all that stuff. But with Elijah Garcia here, brought up from the practice squad. Elijah Garcia, not Mr. Chapman. Interesting, because obviously, as we know with Chapman is also the fullback, right? But they brought Garcia up. Interesting. Whoops. All right, here we go. Giants elevate defensive lineman Elijah Garcia from the practice squad. Giants announced Saturday afternoon that they've elevated defensive lineman Elijah Garcia from the practice squad. Garcia played 5 games last season, starting 3 after star defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence was lost for the season to a dislocated elbow. Garcia, a third-year player out of Rice, started the 2024 season on the Giants practice squad, but played better than expected after being signed to a 53-man roster. He had 14 total tackles, 2 for a loss, quarterback hit, as well as a fumble recovery, playing in 143 defensive snaps. Now, we're also going to see here, PFF has him as down as a sack, too. So, Giants released Garcia as part of their final cut down to the 53-man roster. It was a sign of the greater depth of the line this year, which is true. Because last year, Chapman made the team. This year, he made the 53. This year, he wasn't there. He's on the practice squad now, right? But the team also quickly signed him to their practice squad, meaning Garcia. This is the first of 3 potential game day elevations for Garcia under the practice squad rules. Once the Giants elevate him a 3rd time, they'll be forced to sign him to the main roster if they want him available for game day. The decision to elevate a defensive lineman is likely to improve their depth in the face of the Washington Commanders' rushing offense. Why the Giants elevated defensive lineman Elijah Garcia for the Commanders game. The Giants' first practice squad elevation of 2025 was one that certainly raised a few eyebrows once it was announced. New York's lone elevation is defensive tackle Elijah Garcia, a move that raised some concerns that either a Giants defensive lineman was suddenly about to appear on the injury list. Turns out that isn't the case. According to a source with knowledge of the situation, a report of Lawrence's wife being due to give birth any day to the couple's first child is apparently true. So, if she goes into labor, I guess sexy's gone. So I don't know, if it's 3 hours before game time and she's giving birth and he's going to be gone. If it's 3 minutes before game time and she's giving birth, Dexter's going to play. No idea, but she's very close to giving birth. So that would explain the elevation of Garcia to the roster, as Garcia's presence gives the Giants an extra defensive lineman should Lawrence need to leave the team to be with his wife before Sunday's kickoff. Further implications of the solo elevation, with Garcia being the only practice squad elevation, the Giants, interestingly enough, are in a position where they can now carry all 3 of their quarterbacks as active on Sunday's game roster. That leaves the door open for rookie Jackson Dart to potentially see snaps if the game spirals out of control, or, as some believe, the coach has specific scenarios in which they've penciled Dart into the lineup, which is always a possibility. Don't count them out, right? They get to a certain position on the field or something, don't be surprised if Dart doesn't run out there on the field. The Giants were to have declared an emergency quarterback. That quarterback would not have been permitted to play unless the 2 quarterbacks in front of them were injured and unable to play. This potential wrinkle adds another layer of intrigue ahead of Sunday's regular season opener, as Dart is coming off an impressive preseason showing, which has only amplified speculation as to how soon he will receive game snaps. For the time being, the Giants have insisted that it will be Russell Wilson as their starter, and that the intention is for Wilson to remain in that role for as long as he's healthy. But if the season begins to slip away, it's certainly fair to wonder if head coach Brian Daboll might pull the plug on Wilson in favor of Dart. The Commanders, meanwhile, elevated center Michael Dieter and receiver Chris Moore. The elevation of Moore gives Washington a sixth receiver on its roster. The elevation of Dieter, while somewhat surprising, given that all 9 of their offensive linemen are healthy, is likely a precaution since the Commanders don't really have a backup to starting center Tyler Biadasz. So, but let me go over here. Let me show you here. I mean, Garcia, he's been around a little bit. He's been a couple years, right? I mean, he's not a long-time grizzled veteran, but he's been around for a couple of years, right? Bam, there he is. Okay, so we got obviously regular season. He's played some snaps. Obviously, 143 snaps last year for the Giants, but 2023 and 2022 he had some snaps with Denver. Looks like what we got for the 40 grand total, 49 snaps in those 2 years with Denver. But this is his 4th season. Okay. But last year, right? I mean, he didn't do too bad last year, especially when he had to fill in for Sexy, right? 143 total snaps. He graded out of 66.5. Not too shabby. Run defense, 68.5. Very impressive. His tackling, 75.7. His pass rush is obviously it's not the same as Sexy, right? But as I said, you'll notice here, right? You see in that report, they said that he didn't have a sack, but according to this is just PFF, right? They say he has a sack, but PFF doesn't have half sacks, right? If it's a half a sack, they give him a sack. So I don't know exactly what happened there, but PFF has him down for a sack, 4 total pressures. So I mean, what we got 78 pass rushing attempts. PFF had him for 4 total pressures. So basically, 1 out of every 20 passing attempts, he'll get a pressure. Not quite sexy numbers, but not too bad, right? But I said, he's been around for a few seasons, right? Now, for let's do the 2025 preseason. Okay. All right, here we go. Very, very impressive numbers here. Right, against Buffalo. Now, once again, he's probably going against second and third string teams, so I get that, right? But against Buffalo, the first game, 26 snaps, graded a 73.2. Against the Jets in week 2, he played in 15 snaps, graded at a 71. And then he started against New England, played in 34 snaps, and graded at a 61.6. But that was his tackling is what brought him down, okay, against New England. But his pass rush was very, very good, okay. Although once again, sure, all these snaps were against pretty much backups. But so against New England, his tackling was at 30, so he must have missed a tackle or something like that. Yeah, he had apparently a grand total, I guess, of 4 tackle opportunities. He had 2 tackles. He had 1 assisted tackle, but he missed a tackle. So his missed tackle percentage was 25%. So that really lowered his tackling number here, right? Had he not missed that tackle, this number would have gone up quite a bit, and this number probably would be closer to 70. You know what I mean? So for the preseason, he did do pretty well. So once again, he's Elijah Garcia is not sexy, right? But if there's a chance that Sexy's got to leave because his wife's giving birth, right? Elijah will be the guy to step in there. But as it also says in that article there, that quite possibly all 3 of the Giants quarterbacks will be starting. They said, but don't rule out the fact that Dart. Oh, all right, buddy. You see him running on the field. Don't be surprised. And if he runs on the field, doesn't mean he's coming in the game to finish out the game. I mean, unless we're getting killed or unless we're killing the Commanders, but I don't see that happening. But don't be surprised if there's not a package here or a little package there for Dart to go out there and run onto the field.